In 260 CE, the most powerful man in the world, Roman Emperor Valerian, was captured by the Persians. According to ancient sources, he spent his final years as a human footstool, forced to kneel so the Persian king could mount his horse. When he died, his skin was reportedly flayed, dyed red, and displayed in a temple as a trophy. But here's the disturbing part. Back in Rome, nobody could mount a rescue. Roman soldiers were too busy killing their own emperors for cash. In just 50 years, Rome burned through more than 30 emperors, most murdered within months of taking power. This is the story of how Rome's military went from the empire's greatest strength to its most destructive force. 3 simultaneous crises made it happen. First, external pressure from 2 directions. The Rhine-Danube frontier stretched thousands of miles across northern Europe. Germanic tribes, Goths, Franks, Alemanni pushed against it constantly. To the east, the aggressive Sassanid Persian dynasty wanted revenge for centuries of Roman dominance. In 251 CE, Emperor Decius became the first Roman emperor killed in battle against a foreign enemy. The Goths slaughtered him at Abritus. His body was never recovered. 9 years later, Valerian's capture by the Persians marked another first. No Roman emperor had ever been taken alive by an enemy. Rome's military reputation, built over centuries, shattered in a single decade. Second crisis, the army itself turned predator. When a new emperor took power, he paid soldiers a cash bonus called a donative, essentially a bribe for loyalty. The soldiers figured out the math. Kill the emperor, get a new one, collect another donative, repeat. And this wasn't just happening in Rome. Provincial armies across the empire realized they could make their own general emperor march on Rome and get paid. The Senate became irrelevant. Real power flowed from military camps on distant frontiers. These new emperors weren't educated aristocrats. They were rough provincial generals who governed from army headquarters, not the capital. Third crisis, economic collapse. Rome couldn't borrow money like modern governments. When military spending exploded, emperors had one option: debase the coinage. They reduced the silver content while pretending coins held the same value. The Antoninianus coin started at 80% silver. By 260 CE, it contained just 5%, essentially bronze with a silver wash. This triggered what economists call Gresham's law. Bad money drives out good. People hoarded old coins with real silver and spent the worthless new ones. Merchants couldn't price goods when the currency changed value daily. The economy collapsed into barter. Trade networks that had functioned for centuries simply stopped working. Picture it simply: a merchant receives 2 coins, one old, heavy with silver, one new, practically worthless bronze. Which does he spend? The bad coin. Which does he hide in a jar? The good one. Multiply this across millions of transactions. Good money vanishes from circulation, only bad money remains. Prices become meaningless. A farmer won't sell grain for coins that might be worthless tomorrow. He demands payment in goods he can use. The sophisticated Roman economy, the engine that fed cities and paid armies, ground to a halt. These 3 crises weren't separate problems. They fed each other in a devastating spiral. Barbarian and Persian invasions demanded more military spending. To pay soldiers, emperors debased the currency. Inflation destroyed the economy. Soldiers demanded cash donatives since their regular pay bought nothing. Emperors who couldn't pay were killed. New emperors paid donatives by debasing currency further. Economic chaos invited more invasions as Rome looked weak. Round and round. Each turn of the cycle made the next turn worse. The empire wasn't facing 3 problems. It was trapped in a single self-reinforcing catastrophe. Breaking free required solving everything simultaneously. No emperor lasted long enough to try. The new military emperors transformed Roman governance. For centuries, emperors had been senators, educated in Greek philosophy and Roman law. They governed from Rome, maintained traditional rituals, respected the Senate's ceremonial role. The crisis emperors came from frontier provinces, Illyria, Pannonia, Thrace. Many barely spoke Latin. They had contempt for soft aristocrats who never held a sword. They ruled from military camps, moving constantly between threatened frontiers. Rome itself became just another city. The emperor might visit occasionally, but real decisions happened wherever the army was. Power had migrated permanently from marble halls to muddy camps. In 271 CE, Emperor Aurelian ordered something Rome hadn't needed for 500 years: walls around the capital. For half a millennium, Rome's legions had been its walls. Enemies were stopped at distant frontiers, never threatening Italy itself. Now, 19 kilometers of walls rose around Rome, 3.5 meters thick, 8 meters high. Workers completed them in just 5 years, unprecedented speed, revealing desperate urgency. Those walls still stand today, cutting through modern Rome. Walk past them, and you're looking at a monument to crisis, physical proof that the invincible empire had become afraid. The patterns of the 3rd century crisis aren't just ancient history. Military coups in modern states follow similar logic. When soldiers realize they can profit from instability, stability becomes impossible. Currency debasement still tempts governments facing impossible bills. Inflation in Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe, Venezuela. The mechanism differs, but Gresham's law operates identically. The principle extends beyond money. Whenever bad faces no penalty and good gets exploited, bad drives out good. Corrupt officials drive out honest ones. Cheaters drive out fair players. The Romans discovered this the hard way. The lesson cost them their empire's soul. Rome survived. In 284 CE, Diocletian took power and held it, the first emperor in decades to die of natural causes. His reforms rebuilt the empire, splitting it into manageable pieces, creating systematic succession, reforming the currency, reorganizing the military. But the empire that emerged was fundamentally different. More authoritarian emperors became god kings demanding prostration. More militarized, soldiers dominated every aspect of government. More bureaucratic, layers of officials monitored everything. The confident, expansive Rome of Augustus and Trajan was gone. What replaced it was a survival machine, grimly efficient but brittle. The 3rd century crisis didn't kill Rome. The Western Empire lasted another 200 years. The Eastern Empire, Byzantium, survived until 1453, over 1,000 years more. But the crisis killed the Rome that had existed for centuries. The lesson echoes forward. Institutions that create perverse incentives will be destroyed by them. Currencies that lose credibility don't recover. Military forces that become political actors rarely return to barracks peacefully. Rome's defenders became its destroyers, not through malice, but through rational response to broken systems. The soldiers who killed emperors were simply following the incentives Rome itself had created. The empire paid the price for its own design flaws.